Hello friends! Today we're going to build this bookshelf and then subsequently take it apart. Here we go. So the shelf is going to be for my sister-in-law Kathleen. I had to build it here for her. It's a belated birthday gift. She's going to use it to store patterns, but she has to take it back home in a car. So it is 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and 10 inches deep. It supports 6 different shelves. The bottom one is about 14.5 inches tall instead of 10, just had the extra space. Put some simple trim around all 4 pieces, capped it off. It's held together just with screws that have been countersunk. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's a nice thing. You could use this basic principle with nice wood instead of plywood, you know, to build yourself a nice bookshelf or anything else. So here's how I did it. Well, I was able to get everything out of 2 sheets of plywood. If it were just a little bit smaller, I could have gotten it out of 1, but that's neither here nor there. I don't often work with plywood. This was new for me, but given what this shelf is going to be used for, it seemed to be the perfect material. As projects so often start with me, this shelf started off with a little bit of a sketch and a couple rough measurements on a piece of paper. Once I got this plywood down, the hardest part is moving it around within the confines of my shop, so I got out my handheld circular saw, which I rarely get to use. It's kind of a nice treat. Anyways, I just scored out a couple lines, and this cut's relatively straight, and later on I'm going to even these out on the table saw. So here I am making those lines nice and straight on the table saw, cleaning things up, so to speak. I wanted to get all the cuts for the 2 side walls, all the vertical trim, the horizontal trim, and then the 6 shelves plus the top taken care of. And once those were all cut, I was able to switch out the blade. I thought it was easiest to put in a dado stack because I'm going to make some grooves for these shelves to sit in. I figured that was the easiest thing to do, and dados are a great way to get that perfect fit for the shelves. Anybody watching in a country that doesn't allow dado stacks being sold, I'm sorry, they are so nice to use. One of the side effects, of course, of taking off that much wood, though, is all the sawdust that it produces. And I don't have dust collection in my shop, so my dust collection is myself with a broom. But that's okay, it's kind of fun. I feel like Carol Burnett. With the pieces cut and the floor clean, it was time to assemble. I took the shelves one by one and I kind of malleted them into place. They were a snug fit, which is exactly what I wanted. Eventually I would label these, so each shelf, you know, A on the left corresponding to A on the side wall, so that it can be assembled well later. And as I'm putting this together, it's important to note that the shelves are flush with the front. That's just the way that I designed it. As my sister-in-law finishes this a little bit later, I know she has the option of putting edge banding on there if she wants to clean up the front of the plywood, but I know she's going to paint it, so that may not be necessary. Well, there's quite a lot that I like about this shelf. It was interesting to work with plywood, something that I normally don't do. I have a good space in my basement, but it feels so clunky that I just tend not to use it. One of the features of building a shelf out of plywood, or one of the struggles that I had, was that the wood tended to bow. So originally I thought this was going to go together much more straight, and I could use dowels to pin it in, but I realized I had to use some metal fasteners instead to actually pull the wood together. Yeah, anyways, it turned out just fine. My sister-in-law Kathleen is going to take this and she's going to paint it, give it a couple coats of white, which is why I'm not finishing it or doing anything except, you know, easing over the edges here. I'm going to disassemble this next, which is really, really weird to assemble something and then right away take it apart. But she's going to be traveling from Oshkosh to the Ann Arbor area in Michigan, and we have to fit this inside of a car. So we gotta do what we gotta do. She will reassemble it when she gets home, put a back on it, and then paint. I think she's going to, when she puts the screws in, I had them nicely countersunk, so she can take wood putty over it, wait a day, sand that smooth, and then when she paints it, you'll never be able to tell. Same with some of the cracks, like on this second shelf down, you might see there's 2 long, deep cracks. Just flaws in the wood. I told her to putty it in, sand it smooth, and it should be fine. She's going to be using these for storing patterns for sewing. And in time, the bowing that you're seeing in each of the shelves, I put the bow going up like this so that as pressure is put on it, that'll level out. The glories of working with arches. Anyways, I think it looks good, and now it's time to take it apart. Ta-da! There's everything disassembled and ready to go into a car. Altogether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Lucky 13 pieces. So, have you ever built anything like this for a friend that you had to assemble and then disassemble? Your thoughts on this project, be sure to like and comment below. If you're new to the channel, be sure and subscribe. Love to have you on board. And in probably a couple weeks, I will follow up with a vlog once Kathleen sends me some pictures of this, all painted and assembled. Thanks for watching.